There's a man I want to tell you about. He spent 7 years working toward one goal, a specific job title, a specific salary, a specific kind of life he had drawn out clearly in his mind. He sacrificed for it. He delayed things for it. He made dua for it. Not once, not occasionally, for years. And then one Tuesday morning, he got the email. The position was his. He sat very still for a long time, not from joy, from confusion, because the feeling he had imagined, the relief, the completeness, the sense that life had finally arranged itself the way it was supposed to, it wasn't there. He had everything he prayed for, and he felt almost nothing. This video is about that feeling, because sooner or later, most people encounter it. Have you ever noticed how quickly a dream becomes ordinary? Something you once wanted desperately, something you thought about for months, maybe even years. You imagined how happy you would be once it finally happened, how complete life would feel, how everything would finally make sense. And then it happened. You reached the goal, you bought the thing, you entered the relationship, you achieved what you once prayed for. And for a little while, it felt exactly as you imagined. Then something strange happened. Life returned to normal, the excitement faded, and a quiet question appeared. Why doesn't it feel like enough? The man I mentioned at the beginning wasn't depressed. He wasn't ungrateful. He wasn't disappointed. That's what confused him. For years, he believed the feeling of completion was waiting on the other side of success. Then he arrived and discovered that life had not transformed in the way he imagined. The destination had changed, but he was still himself. Most people respond to this feeling in the same way. They assume the answer must be somewhere else, another achievement, another opportunity, another chapter. So another pursuit begins, and then another, and then another. Not because they're foolish, because the cycle feels reasonable. After all, wanting a better life is not wrong. Wanting success is not wrong. Wanting comfort is not wrong. The problem begins when we quietly expect these things to give us something they were never designed to give: meaning. Think about the last thing you desperately wanted, a package you kept tracking, an exam result you couldn't stop thinking about, a message you hoped would arrive, a door you prayed would open. Remember how important it felt, how much space it occupied in your mind. And then remember what happened a few months later. It became normal, not because it was bad, because the human heart adapts faster than we realize. We often confuse excitement with fulfillment, but they are not the same thing. Excitement comes from acquiring something new. Fulfillment comes from being connected to something meaningful. One is a feeling, the other is a foundation. And foundations matter most after feelings fade. Perhaps this is where many people become confused, because they spend years chasing happiness, when what they are truly searching for is peace. And those are not the same thing. Happiness rises and falls. It comes and goes. A good day brings it. A difficult day can take it away. But there is another state that the Quran points us toward: a settled heart, a heart at rest, a heart no longer demanding that the world satisfy every longing within it. The Quran describes this as tranquility, tumanina. Not the excitement of getting what you want, but the calm of knowing where your heart belongs. Allah says, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." Notice what the verse does not say. It does not say hearts find rest in achievement, or wealth, or status, or comfort. Not because these things are evil, but because they are temporary. Temporary things can provide temporary happiness, but they cannot provide permanent peace. When the heart becomes attached to temporary things, its peace becomes temporary too. When those things change, disappear, or disappoint us, the peace disappears with them. But when the heart becomes attached to Allah, something changes. Success becomes a blessing, not an identity. Wealth becomes a tool, not a purpose. Achievements become milestones, not destinations. For the first time, life no longer carries the impossible burden of satisfying every longing within us. I want to come back one final time to the man from the beginning. Months after receiving the position he had spent 7 years pursuing, he said something that stayed with me. The day I stopped expecting my career to complete me was the day I finally started enjoying it. Not because the job changed, not because life suddenly became perfect, because he stopped asking a temporary thing to carry an eternal weight. And perhaps many of us are doing the same. We ask achievements to give us peace, people to give us peace, possessions to give us peace, recognition to give us peace. Then we are surprised when they cannot, because they were never designed for that role. The strange feeling that something is missing is not always a sign that you need more. Sometimes it is a reminder that the heart was created with a destination no achievement can replace. And maybe that is why some of the most successful people in the world still speak about emptiness. Not because they failed, but because success was never meant to answer the deepest questions of the soul. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Perhaps peace begins the moment we stop asking temporary things to do what only Allah can do. Rawnaka.